Hey guys, welcome back guys. Thank you for joining us today here at Aspire to Be Hospitality Group. Thank you so much. Want to send a shout out to everybody that's subscribing to this. Boy, I've got some notes this morning. Justin, I think you came to me and said, man, the last 2 episodes subscriptions have went way up. So I think we're on to something, and I got a great couple messages out to us this week too, and just really lifting us up and, thanking us for what we're doing. We're having fun with this. We enjoy it. It's something that we like to share. God has came into our life and it allowed us to bless us, especially with all our past. Go back and review that, see where we came from. We give him all the glory because this is pretty awesome what we're at and able to share this with everybody out there. So, I thank y'all. My name is Chris Olexa. I'm the CEO, founder of Aspire to Hospitality Group, and I got my group right here. And I just want to introduce them and let them take some time. I want to go back and say this before we do this too. This is the last episode of season 2.
24 episodes deep already.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's flown by. And
it's went really fast.
It has. So today is that. So we're celebrating that today. So over here.
Yeah, Kimberly Olexa, founder, partner of Aspire to Be Hospitality Group. Just here ready to talk you through the exciting world of business.
That's awesome. And my man over here.
Justin Smith, COO, Aspire to Be Hospitality, run operations. Pumped
up. And hey, again, how you really help with us is go out and subscribe to this. Really make comments, make post on it, share it. However, that's the payment that we get out of this. We've had some good reach outs to us too. Some people who want to partner with us. I've had some reach out to us of people want to be a guest on the show, and we're kind of challenging. We'll be having meetings here pretty soon with the team and looking at what the future looks like for this and how we're going to add another spot to this table. Season 2 has changed. We went to a bigger table, kind of changed some stuff, so we kind of continue to want to do that. So we'll be off the grid for about a couple of weeks, so as we, get the next episodes lined up, and we'll take some vacation time too.
Yeah, summer.
Much needed. I just turned, how old was I?
50. 50.
So, and Kim's turning 50 here in September, so we're going to take a week off.
And get away. Went there.
Yeah, so that's fine. She told on me. I'm telling on her.
True that.
What does that lady say? I can kick, punch, and kick. I'm 50.
Yes,
nice.
We're going to do that. I want you to do that too
on
this trip. It's actually we're going with a couple of couples of our best friends in the world, and they're all turning 50 sometime in this summer.
That's so crazy that y'all are turning 50 at the same time, or so close together.
It's like there's 5 of us on this trip from May to September or October.
It's actually starting April, right?
That's right.
April to
October that we're all turning 50.
Nice.
So it's going to be a really cool trip.
Big deal.
Today, man, I kind of challenge us to say open mic, right? We didn't come in and just start talking about like a topic that we're getting a lot of, but we do get a lot of questions about this. So it's kind of an open mic topic today, and it's something that we're really challenged with right now. There's a lot of things happening in the world today, man. Every time I turn on social media, it's and I don't know if it's happening wherever you're at. I know it's happening in Southeast Texas, and I'm on all these calls, so I know it's happening nationwide. Really, that transactions are down, sales are down, the economy's really sucking really bad right now for a lot of people. It's so expensive out there just to live.
Yeah.
Not to do business. It's so expensive just to live life. And I hate it. I hate to see people go to the grocery store and just when the people add up their totals, it blows me away. I remember when we first got married, it's like you spend $100 at the grocery store, you freaked out, but you got a buggy full. Yeah. Now it's like you come home and it's like, hey, I spent $700. I'm like, well, there's not that many bags in the car.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but man, restaurants, businesses are closing like crazy.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's the smaller ones, the mom and pops, franchises, everybody. I hear people getting attacked on social media. Don't go to franchise, don't go to big businesses. I mean, everybody's hurting a little bit, and we all employ a lot of people. No matter if you're mom and pop or you're a big franchise, there's a franchisee somewhere. They're paying a lot of people money. They're staffing people too. What?
Can I just insert something? You just said something that I just want to clear the air with.
Yeah.
Is that I hear people say support local all the time, don't support franchises. We are local. We do own franchises. So there's some big misconception out there that we are absolutely local. Support your franchises that are in your communities are more than likely local, so support them.
Yeah.
We are local small businesses.
The locally owned and operated franchisee or franchise almost all of them are small businesses, small owners.
Small owners, yeah.
And really the reality is they're probably paying 5, 6, 7, or 8 cents on the dollar compared to the true locally owned. But most franchises are locally owned. So if you're looking at the front door, most of the time tells the story. But corporate versus franchise, you're absolutely right, Kim. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Well, even though
sorry, I didn't mean
no,
to
I'm
spark
glad you brought
that.
I thought the same
So
exact thing.
This is kind of open mic thing right now. I'm glad you brought that up because I read it on social and I feel for everybody, right? Business is business, no matter locally owned, franchise owned, or what. We all employ a lot of people, and people depend on us.
Absolutely.
Mom and pops, franchisees, or what business, everybody's getting a paycheck and going to pay bills with that. So when a store closes, no matter what, or his sales go down, it affects people in their pocketbooks and feeding their family.
That's right.
And I'll say this, we have stores in all different cities, my hometown or wherever, and man, we partner with everybody. I mean, and out Lake Charles, we're a big sponsorships of the local high schools and support all these schools. In Alexander, we support different organizations, boys and girls clubs, little leagues. If you call us, if you go to that store and that somebody sends us something, hey, I want you to sponsor my little league. Well, we don't try to just sponsor one team. We try to sponsor the whole little league because we want to be part of that. So we do a lot
within our budget.
We do. We try to stay in that, and we all have budgets. But it's a tough market right now, so we're evaluating ourselves daily. Mm-hmm. And this comes up to, I get a lot of questions about this, that we have this big neon that's hung in our conference room, and it's building machines. It's something, one of the nuggets, one of the criticisms that we came out of this when we changed our culture. So we get a lot of questions about that, and I kind of want to bring that up to y'all, throw this out there, and I want to start it out this way. As we grow and we get bigger and kind of grow in size and, more employees, more staff, more stores, sometimes our leaders out there in the field, get their blinders on and kind of things happen because we're focused on right now transactions, profitability. Okay, so we kind of forget about some of the other things that on the line. And sometimes when I go to these stores or I go past other restaurants or other businesses and I see that they're not paying attention to the small things, Justin, like the little things outside, signs are burnt out, dead trees or what, I'm like, well, people pass by there and think, they don't really care about their building too much, or it's they haven't mowed their grass in forever. What's the store look like inside? And I got a text message the other day from a good friend of mine that was at one of our stores in Lake Charles, and we tour our stores. We go into the stores all the time, but, there was a bunch of weeds grew up right there at the front door, right there in the walkway.
Oh, that drives you crazy.
Yeah, it drives me crazy because that's the little things, right?
Yeah,
that's every rock's in its place.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I took the snapshot, sent it straight to the leadership team, and it was like, 2 minutes later, those weeds were gone. They were gone. They sent me pictures. They went and contacted the business coach, contacted the GM. The GM got all the managers. How did we open this door every day? How did we not see that? How did we not see that weed growing up in there? Well, because we got focused on transactions and being, have people at the front door, keeping the bathrooms clean because guests are kind of picky right now because the pies got smaller. Who's out there shopping for us? So that happened, and then it went to the next level that they contacted the landscaper. Hey, that's your job, dude. Why aren't you doing this? And then, boy, I think the landscaper was out there 30 minutes later, Justin?
Yeah.
And he pulled all the weeds and killed them all. So then we get back as a team, we evaluate that in the building machines and what it truly means, right? And I want to talk about the pros and cons here. So I want to dive into this.
Yeah, so what I kind of hear you saying is building machines really worth it in your business?
Yes,
that's the question.
Is there some pros or is there some cons with stamping out some robots to run your day-to-day business?
Yep,
that's
what
right.
I
understand you're saying. Yeah. So I think there's definitely pros. I've always been a big fan of what I say stamp out robots. You kind of came in and said building machines, and that's a great terminology, but for me, it is if you can create someone to work exactly like your mindset in business when you're apart, you've created almost a robot, right? And they will carry out and fulfill the same vision that you have in your business when you're away.
Yeah.
So those weeds that we know that drive you crazy because you come up with every rock in its place as a CEO and visionary of this company, You want to create the same multiple CEOs of your company that have the same vision.
That's right.
Every rock in its place.
That's right.
And you do that, though, through good systems, right? You do that in making sure you have the systems out there and the check boxes, and you don't want to build super complicated machines, especially in our business. And I like to use the terminology kind of simplify and intensify your system. So few check boxes that have impact, and you ultimately want to make sure those systems are out there for the checks and balances of those things. So then it really comes down to, is the system wrong or needs to be tweaked, or is the human deciding not to do the system? And that's kind of been some of the biggest struggle. The pro is if you get those systems right, you really don't have to worry about those things. And you're just dealing with really small one-off situations. And sometimes they turn into a 5-alarm fire, like the instance that Chris brought up. But as a whole, as a company, you're putting those systems in place to make sure that 99% of the time that if you're checking those boxes, you're keeping all of those things intact, flowing, working properly. But the systems break. Even the finest of cars and finest of systems need oil changes, need tweaks, and need us to constantly reevaluate and get in there and focus on those losses or tweak the things that it broke.
But with systems, Justin, I think our challenge as a company and as business leaders, our challenge is to get our people to buy into our systems on the reason why. We've created some amazing systems here at Aspire to Be that stamp out the robot. All they have to do is just follow the system. So that's the robot portion, right? But getting them to buy into the why and why it's so important and do our system until you can come up with a better one, right?
Yeah.
So we're not so closed-minded. We don't have blinders on to say, as we employ different leaders in our company, if they have better ideas, bring them.
Yeah.
Be open to those ideas.
And I'm glad you're saying that, because sometimes when you're listening back, and we'll probably get some feedback on this first part of this, because when it says robots, you're creating robots. It doesn't mean we're physically creating somebody that doesn't think for themselves, right? We want them to challenge them. So now we're bringing that human element back into it to say, how do you get a little bit better, right?
Yeah, you're always going to have someone that's going to be hung up on some words that you use.
Yeah.
But in reality, at the end of the day, when you do something over and over again, it is similar to a robot, right? So don't get hung up on the words that we use here in our podcast. Get hung up on the ideas. And the ideas is that we're trying to clone ourselves as business leaders to create people that can carry out a successful business, because at the end of the day, that's what we're about.
There's minimum expectations too. And like for me, and listening to that, the elephant and the tough thing to hear and talk about is, ultimately we're providing a contract for these people to agree to do these things or to do these systems. And we just have a lot of faith if you sign and say you're going to do those things that you will. But we still want you to be innovative and creative.
Absolutely.
You got to do those minimum things. And I just feel like we spend so much of our time pouring into, whether it's T-shirts or high fives or just trying to be the most positive people on the planet. And we give. The minimum that you have to do is those, couple bullets that you've agreed upon. And those really are the systems. Those are the minimum things. And I think we overall do a really good job there, but that's one of the things that I'm constantly challenged with. It's like, you're right. You do have to let people be creative and innovative and, do their own thing and tell you how you could, make something better for sure. But you've also got, 100 years worth of experience to saying, if you just do this, it'll make your job really, really easy, and you'll create a bunch of time to be creative, to spend time. And it's...
Well, I think that and we're going to talk about the pros here, because the pro of this thing, of the whole idea, when I came up in the team, we all talked about it, building machines, and the vision of that is that. And it's frustrating to me, and I know it's frustrating to reread it all the time, that when me and you first had our first two Quiznos, we were in there 60, 50, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
We saw everything happening. We knew what was happening. We paid attention to the videos and watched them all. But then as we opened more and more and more, it kind of waters us down a little bit. And that's when you start bringing multiple other leaders on. And you got to build this machine. Then he has to build that machine, because we get criticized a lot. It's like, oh, Chris and Kim are getting too big. They don't care about the guest anymore. They don't care about their service, and they attack us.
Well, that's far from the truth.
It's way far from the truth. We do, but yeah, as we built out 15 different restaurants and building more, that's the whole purpose of building machines, because we try to build them to understand the value of what we think, right, of the guest, hospitality, the guest first.
Yeah.
That's why we built this podcast, People Bring Profit, because that's what we try to teach our leaders out there. It's all about the person that works for us, and it's all about the person that walks in the door. Yeah. Now, we can't go out and it used to, I felt like it was 50-50 chance when we hired staff if they were good. Now it's like a lot less, because sometimes some of them just come to work and don't want to work. And the same thing, I guess, you can't please everybody. But that's the purpose of the pros is this. When you build out their leaders and our business coaches, they go out and do that. Now, they hold our vision. And then, because I go to some of these stores of corporates owned or, big corporations, I'm not going to mention money of them, but, sometimes when I walk in there, go get some, like, there's no way somebody up at the top knows what's going on in here right now.
Right.
There's no way they know that. And there's a disconnect. One thing about us, and one thing you should do, is always pay attention to the small things. Go in your stores, pay attention what's happening. As you grow from 1 to 2 to 3, pay attention, because those people that are out there selling your product or representing your company or your brand, they need to be you. They understand the culture that you're bringing, right?
Yeah. When we're building robots, and one of the pros here is this scales. It allows you to grow.
It does.
So if you're building a robot and you have a template or a model and a mold, and you want to put that on a production line, it's very, very easy if the parts are the same every single time, or your restaurant and all of the things that everybody's doing, whether that's an email or a back office system, is the same. But if you make just one tweak to that, that means you need more people to own that process and hold that process accountable. And that's a huge pro. If you can get things in alignment and get cohesion with any of your systems in there, it allows you to have 25, or it allows you to build 1,000 robots. But the second you start tweaking thing, and that's where you're going to have a lot of talented people on your team as you grow too, that are going to have great ideas, but there needs to be channels to bring, and that's why we do our leadership meetings. Hey, we've got a great idea. Should we do this or not do this? It might be a great idea. Might be a great idea for one restaurant, but is it a great idea for
Multiple.
17 to
Yes.
do that?
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about, that's a huge pro though. That's a pro of our business, that in a click, I can read everybody's manager log.
Yeah.
If they all use different softwares, that would take me I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd need someone to manage that process. So that's a huge pro to building robots and machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the what we do very well is we challenge ourselves, because then it's like you're building an assembly line of robots, right? You're trying to do that, but as the new model comes out, well, you got to change some stuff up. And that's one thing we're always looking at our assembly line, our building of the machines, of like what's changed, what needs to be tweaked, and what can we insert. Now we need to insert a different model now.
Great call out. Change to me goes, and you speak on this, it's training too. So if you make a change, you're training 15, 20 people to do the same system a little bit differently, not 8 different systems or 6 different brands, 6 different systems. So embracing change and training that change is a huge deal.
Yeah, and you're almost back to square one again.
Yeah.
Now you're back to building the small robot.
Yeah.
And embracing the change.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can stamp it out appropriately.
Explaining the why, like you had
so
said.
everyone has the vision.
And one thing I like to say, and I want to say this too, that I like about us is we'll identify a machine out there, that we went through training, right? And then it's acting up. It's having a misfire every now and then. And then what do we try to do? We try to bring that in.
Yeah.
And then retool it and find out what circuit board's acting up.
Yeah.
Change that part out.
Yeah.
Right? And then put them back out there.
Yeah, because like I've heard Justin say time and time again, is it the system or is it the person?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're looking at your outliers or your great performances and your worst performances, and we're celebrating and enhancing our best, but the bottom people deserve to be retrained. They deserve, and we call it like a bottoms up call, where it's, get on the horn with the leaders, talk through the problem, talk through the solutions, and start testing and making gradual progress towards getting back to the middle or the top of that scorecard. But eventually, if you keep finding yourself on that bottoms up call, you are just either not getting it or don't care. And that turns into a human problem. And that turns into, you just might want to do it your way and don't care the way that we're pitching it. And the reason that your business should have a bottoms up call or focus on those outliers is the things that are happening great, you need to 10x them. You need to capitalize them. But the things that are not happening great, you need to evaluate that system, recoach, retrain, but then also identify quickly. And we're getting better at that, but we haven't always been great at that. The folks that just don't want to do the job, and maybe they're better served doing something else in life. But you cannot let a store or a system or your business sit with people who do not care, do not execute the system, and you've got to identify that quickly.
I think that's the most hardest part of our jobs and in our business is that
it's real hard.
I always come to operations and say, what's the first thing that I always say when they're not performing?
Yeah.
Did you train them?
Yeah.
Are they
them?
trained?
Yeah.
And are you sure?
Yeah.
That they've been
and we're
trained.
implementing systems to give you really good answers to that because our people deserve it, and they might just need a different trainer or a different way of learning. And not everybody's a great trainer, but we've got some really, really good ones.
Yeah.
And we'll throw darts at it all day, every day. But we have given exceptional training in my mind. By that, the time spent, the people spent, the versions of it that we've given, the showing up and locking elbows. Eventually, that leads into this is tough stuff.
It is.
Yeah. And then eventually it does lead into those hard decisions.
Yeah. Then you got to make that. And this whole topic, we're kind of, going through the pros and cons, and the con of it is, and I almost steal something from you, the Escalade, right? Go buy 3 of them, but the Escalade needs the oil changed every 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're not taking care of it. Mm-hmm. So you have to pour in, continue. Just because you train somebody and you put them out there as one of your leaders in the field or leaders in a store, you got to go out there and check on them, and follow up with them and look into them, and that's where we're getting better at. We're looking at that, and the negative part too. Some of the cons too is, like you said, now it's time to make some tough decisions because you built this machine, you put it out there, and numerous issues. You poured into the culture. We got the shirts. We did the best first day ever. We went through this training, but it's not changing. Yeah,
well, then we make the decision to promote to guest.
Yeah, I like how you say promote to guest. That's
so we make the upgrade.
Yeah, it's time to do that.
Yeah,
and the negative part, we get attacked sometimes. We get nasty messages, emails, different things fired back at us, and it's like, you people aren't truly people bring profit. It's like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. That's when you come in and say, was he properly trained? Check. Was he retrained? Check. How many write-ups did they have? Oh, the file's full. And then you go back and pay attention to the things, Justin. We've saw this. I mean, we have our cameras up in almost every leadership office, and we're running cameras. Well, we have a camera system that just runs offices, right? That just pays attention to our manager's office. Mm-hmm. And but go back and look, and this particular, one of the managers might be in that office every day, and they have the lowest employee rate, right? Their employees, they're understaffed. Turnover rate's crazy. Well, then I'll
highest negative guest comments,
highest food cost, things that you start looking at. Well, yeah, we poured into you, but you did not pour it down.
Yeah.
So now you're attacking me. That's your fault, man. That's not our fault, right? And it's frustrating because, we can only do so much. But then after that level, now you need to take. You've always told these people, hey, I can't sit here and train you all day when you hire a new person in the office. You have to have some will to take off. I'll give you the tools. I'll give you everything you need. We'll give you the ongoing training you need, but I can't just sit here at your desk all day.
Yeah.
If I did that, we'll just only have one store.
Right.
But you got to go out and do it. You're right, Justin.
The most common thing is good leader, good store. And you can't stress that enough. And a good leader doesn't necessarily mean the smartest person on the block or the most experienced on the block. It means someone who cares, who's willing to learn, who's willing to run the system well for a long time. And you can move within the ranks, and you could throw a ton of innovation and creativity and earn additional spots. But a good leader, equals a good store. But a good leader just simply has to do the things that the company cares about, that, put in the extra time with their people and hire a great staff or, great group of employees, really care about their product, keep it clean, neat, and tidy, do their walks every morning, open 15 minutes early, do a jump start to communicate to their team. Those are the minimums. If you just rinse and repeat that recipe, you're going to move towards greatness, especially in our industry where you just communicate well. You open early just like church does. You make sure you're clean, neat, and tidy. You make things to spec. But when you're in the manager office or you're sitting at a table on your laptop or, not doing those things, that's not anywhere in our playbook.
Yeah.
Nowhere in our playbook does it say, eat when we're busy or sit on your laptop and do something personal. And we definitely give liberties if things happen, but, you ask to do those things. But good leader equals good store almost always, and there's not a playbook for that. You have to identify that. You have to work with those people, pour into them, but ultimately it's up to them if they want to be a good leader.
Yeah, just don't sit there and just get fat on leadership skills, right? Pour into the person below you.
Oh yeah, I love
because
that.
we are constantly pouring into our those under us. So
Good
just
leadership
don't sit
is
there and get fat on it.
It's absolutely a reflection of those around you and those, and I hate to say below you because we're all working together, but the tier below you, if they're, excelling and, working hard and running the systems, that's absolutely a big point. So if you're a GM, your assistant manager should be executing what's being cascaded to you. And if you're assistant manager, you should be spending time teaching and calibrating your hourly employees on how much and the why that these things matter. The more people you get trained to see the things that are so important to the business, the small things. We've got 113 people that work at that sports bar that did not care that there was a huge weed as you walked into the building. And I'm not pointing blame at anybody. That goes right to me. We could have seen that too. That's the entire company. But we need to teach all of those people to care as much as we do and tell them why that's important. We've got some of the best ambiance. We've got a $500,000 AV package inside. We've got some of the best sound you could possibly hear. Best sports on the planet. Twice fried wings, which are just the juiciest, crispiest thing on the planet. But if they walk in and see a huge weed, they are going to think we don't have our stuff together.
It was a huge weed.
And it was borderline tree. And in Louisiana, things grow quickly. And they sprout. Yeah. It was one of those like videos you see on Instagram that at night this thing just blooms.
Yeah.
It grew quickly. It was next to a plant, so it's not like it was standing
Tyler,
there.
I want to make sure that there's somewhere in this episode, put the picture of this because Kim, I don't know if I thought I might have showed you.
I didn't see it.
It was at one point I thought it was a bush, but Justin, I'm glad you brought that up. And Kim, what you just said, it's our responsibility as leaders in any field is to pour it down, pass it down.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than to be stranded or being somewhere and say, okay, we gotta share this piece of bread, pass it down, take a bite. Well, next thing you pass it down, this one guy eats the whole thing. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Really?
You're supposed to break the bread and share.
Yeah. What happened here? Yeah. But Justin, to go back to say that's what we should do. When I saw the weed, very upset, I was traumatized really because it's an image of aspire to be, and that happens. And I preach this all the time on these podcasts. But what we do as a team, we identify the problem. Kim's always taught me this: identify the problem. How are we going to address the problem? Then how are we going to make sure that problem doesn't happen again?
That's right.
And that's exactly what we did. When I sent that message out, man, the team was on it. Then we talked about it, and then we actually had a meeting today. We came back and collaborated again because now we're going to pour it down back to the leaders down to why it's so important to us. And I actually use this terminology, Kim. You were in the meeting this morning. It's like doing a STAR test. Everybody hates STAR tests. Yeah. But it's just a way to evaluate, did the teachers teach what was supposed to be taught, right? And I'm not far against.
Did the kids learn what they were supposed to learn?
That's right.
A better way to look at that.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm not saying far against the guys, but I'm just saying, did they learn what they need to learn? So it's about. So we came up with an idea to really challenge our business coaches out there to go out there and submit us some stuff to see if they need to come back in and I need to change a circuit board. Right. Figure it out.
You get siloed, and we've talked a lot about this, but even the STAR test is a great analogy because Aubrey came home, my daughter, and just loves math. Just excels in math. I mean, I think she possibly got 100 all 4 quarters, and there was 21 questions on the STAR test, and she got one wrong. She came home and knew it. Yeah. And she said, Dad, I got one wrong. She's like, I was never taught this.
Yeah.
We didn't even go over it. I guessed. I'm like, did you pick C? She's like, yeah, I picked C because maybe
Yeah,
I
that's
got it
always a
right.
good choice.
But no, the thought is like, yeah, we do have these initiatives and these cultures and these things that we talk about, but we get there might be 5 important bullets, but we really focus on 2 or 3 of them. We might focus on the cigarette butts, the debris, the roof, but we didn't focus so much on dead trees.
Yeah.
We looked at this dead tree every single day, and just that wasn't even in our mindset or in our repertoire. And our manager's like, man, I didn't even get taught that.
Yeah.
I didn't even get taught that. Well, the common sense would say it's a dead tree and you shouldn't be, but that's not the right place to go. The right place to go is let's recalibrate our system. Let's make sure you are taught that and you do know that expectation. And we make dang well sure moving forward that that's now part of your arsenal.
Yeah.
That we won't let that happen again. And
Yeah. When I walk into a store, one of our stores, what I challenge our team is when you see the very hourly employees within our location, don't look at those as hourly, but look at those as CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
You want to bring up every hourly employee because as far as our job code goes, our hourlies is at the bottom of the pyramid. Look at those hourly employees as CEOs. And pour into them your vision so that you can raise them up because we want, how many employees we have? 800. We would love 800 CEOs of a company. Mm-hmm. Maybe not our company, maybe somebody else's company, but that's what we're doing. We're pouring into people so that we can make them better for tomorrow than they are today.
How many CEOs have you built? I'm sitting here as a testimonial to what you just said, and I was an hourly employee 20 years ago in a Buffalo Wild Wings, and I have a mission to be a CEO because someone did that very same thing for me.
Absolutely.
I did ask questions. I asked how I could be better. What books could I read? Or special cleaning projects like your BK story. But I constantly did that at every level, and I have aspirations to do that very same thing. Mm-hmm. Who's the CEOs in your 4 walls right now?
Yeah.
You can see them. Let's be real. You have an idea and a pulse of who the good robots are out there. Pour into them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Kim, because we try our hardest to do that, especially with the field team. When they come in, we spend lots of one-on-ones. I spend one-on-ones with them and just pour into them. It's impossible for us to get out there to all 800 employees, but our vision is for them to pour into their management team and then the management team pour into them. Sometimes it needs to come in for a tweak. There's some issues with that. So, I think we're trying. We're working hard. One thing I'll always brag about too, especially with Kim, she does a very good job. Even she'll come in my office and shut the door and have a conversation. She'll retool me. She'll, kind of change my circuit board and say, hey, I don't know if you looked at this or saw this. Let me pour into you. And that's awesome because you don't have to always pour down. You can always pour up or side. So when you're doing that, it always like advice from everybody. People always say, who's your mentor? Who do you follow the most? Well, I kind of don't really follow a lot of people, but I watch a lot of people. And when you come in the office, Justin, you'll come in a lot and we collaborate and talk about it. And that's the biggest thing. Don't be stuck in your shell, and thinking you know it all. But
at the same time, I also say, hey, what can I do better?
Yeah.
Where can I improve?
And you do that all the time.
I'm not so righteous that I will not ask and try to improve my own self.
I'm glad you brought that up too. I think both of y'all do a good job of that. Justin comes in my office, you come in the office, you just ride in the car. You'll just stop and say, what can I do better as a CFO?
Absolutely.
What am I missing? And we've had some great conversations with that and opened the door up, even with time management. You're like, hey, how can I be better at time management? Because you always brag that I'm good at time management. Mm-hmm. So Justin comes in my office and all that too. So, knock on people's doors and ask them, say, hey, what can I do better?
Absolutely.
Whatever job you're doing. I always, told my son this the other day when he was pressure washing. He's like, Dad, there's so many people who are negative about other people that's done their job. I said, well, then because they'll post that, well, this guy did my job, it was no good. Yeah. So I said, well, go ask them what they did wrong. Say, well, I didn't do this. Well, then say, I'll do it for half the price, and I promise you it'll be better. And I guess what? You can win them back as now a customer towards you, too. So
that's a great point. I mean, a great piece of that, too, is just like having good self-awareness, and really, a great way to judge that is to listen.
Yeah.
And to get in there at every level. We'll listen. I listen to you.
Yeah.
I listen to the business coaches when they provide feedback. And very, very often, I'm not even giving an initial reaction. I'm just taking notes. I want to sleep on it. I want to process. I want to give a really good, thoughtful, respectful answer, good or bad, back to them. But you get all of that from listening, and self-awareness is a good thing too. And we've all been down this where we've written something or texted something or emailed something where we came with great intentions or great thought and great passion, but it wasn't delivered in the way that the other person received it. So just having self-awareness in those situations to get better and better and better at those moments.
Yeah.
We are equipped with having gone through a million versions of those moments. Everybody else in our company is not.
Yeah. Just a side note. Thank goodness for Chat GPT, because it helps me with those emails.
Yeah, it does.
Before I spit them out.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that.
Before I fire off that email.
We had a great week this week.
Like, help me
My
rewrite.
son
I
ordered.
love hearing you say that. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's something too. Somebody called me out. I forgot to tell you this.
What's so crazy about it?
What
That I use it?
That you use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Not just that you use it. It's cascaded down. It's a
Yeah.
piece of technology, and you just the fact that it's.
See, I wasn't closed-minded.
No,
I accepted
normally
it,
you-
right?
Yeah,
Y'all proud of me?
Yes,
I'm very proud. Yeah.
Yeah.
You write well, and you've always had good grammar and things in emails, but I didn't even know you were using it. I knew
But
he
sometimes
was.
my
I knew I
tone-
was.
Well, sometimes my tone, if I'm aggravated or something, it'll help me kind of tone it down a little bit.
Yeah,
And so I appreciate that.
yeah, it does, because you always say, "Read this," and it's, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's great," or, "Hey, it's a little tough there."
Yeah.
I got called out from a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, I'm going to the Bahamas with. And, because I made a post. We had a great week this week. Our oldest, Brendan, ordered his class ring at A&M. That was exciting for
Yes,
him.
yeah.
So cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then the next day, our daughter will be a senior this year, had her last cheer camp, high school cheer camp.
That looked
and
intense.
It was.
Yeah.
And she got All-American, which that's one of the highest.
Way to go,
Yeah,
Belle.
yeah, she did awesome. We didn't even know she was trying out for it. We were running through the condo like, excited.
Yeah.
But, I made a post, and, again, I type in there like, "Hey, please help me rewrite this." Use the word please. I say that all the time. And I came up with a post, and it used some different words. It changed my words to probably a little bit bigger words. And one of my
It
friends called me and
did. I read
said,
it.
one of my friends called me and said, "Hey, did you use ChatGPT whatever on
Yeah.
that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I knew that had to be something." And he said, I wondered how. I said, wait, go back and look at my podcast. I said it. I'm honest with it. I use it sometimes. I use it a lot, really, to help me things, because my grammar's not the best, So it helps
okay.
me. So it's okay, especially
That's
when you
right.
admit. Don't lie. You say, "Oh, I wrote that," or
Yeah.
don't say, "Oh no, I've never used that." That's
When
not,
your kids go back and read that, though, they're going to see how, nicely written and thoughtful that was. That was your thoughts.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
told
Completely.
it. I mean, that was absolutely the words and the small tweaks. They're all, synonyms. They all
Yeah.
mean the same thing, but
Yes.
they're going to go back and read that and
Absolutely.
be very, very proud of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why you got to embrace the tech. I mean,
Yeah.
these are
be
human
ashamed
thoughts
of it.
being driven into something that's writing it in a better way. I was not good at English.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I'm a math guy.
hey,
Still shamelessly.
the open mic kind of went, open mic. We had a
Yeah.
great conversation about what we're focused on right here at work and some of the stuff that we're doing. So I thank you for all the input that y'all two had on this episode. And sometimes we do this, curveball question, and the curveball is a little different today. I'm saving y'all. I got a ton of people asking me to go up. We tried the Blazing a while back. Well, the new Blazing's coming out. Yeah, it's a new one.
The guys tried it the other day and said it's hot.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Buffalo
So we're
Wild
not
Wings.
going to get a version 2 of I Can't Feel My Face.
Well, Buffalo Wild Wings is, they've done pretty good every year. They kind of come out and, change the blaze, and they kind of give it a new kick, and it's pretty cool. But I said, no, I ain't doing that. That was a kick to my face. But the question I have for y'all, and this is going to be really, y'all, kind of probably get mad at me, but I'm going to throw this at you. And it came to my mind just now, a little while ago. So as we go on to season 3, and we get a lot of, people feedback, Justin, I want to know if there's a topic that you want to put on season 3 that you'd like to hear, that maybe it's a podcast that you listen to or watch now, and there's something that you want us as a group to talk about. Is there anything that you would like to spend time on that?
Yeah, I think we should have a good conversation, because just like this conversation today, it's like the real things we're working on and struggling through. I would love to, to talk through what does leadership and development kind of at the director and up kind of level actually look like? The grassroots of, what systems and whether it's a traction call or a weekly herd update or a leadership meeting or coffee with the bulls. But then, like, what are the other things that are actually happening to move the needle? And what do you actually have to do to get these people to buy in, to embrace it, to explain the why? And what's that actually look like for our company? What might it look like for your company? And how to embrace those things, get better at them, get more efficient at them, but really just like have that conversation. And I think, a teaser to that would be like, if you're not, having Friday night 11 o'clock calls with your team because they're going through something for the first time or they need guidance or leadership, you just need to get calibrated on that. And, leadership as a whole. And as I look at our operations team, we have 5 direct report regional managers / business coach kind of personalities, and they are all so good at different things. And they all read different books, have different styles, whether that's their own personal finances or issues or things they're working through or business. So how do you take a group of 5 very different individuals, talk about building machines and robots, but really pour into them so they're their own version of 5 different leaders that maybe become CEOs? And I think it's just a topic that every company is going through and maybe talking about. And I don't have the answer, but
no, that's good.
That would be a fun conversation for all of us to have, because we're 3 very different people.
And that's what I like.
Like-minded, but different.
Yeah,
I like about that. And I'm going to go to myself because, I always kind of go at the end, and I feel like it's not fair because I can steal off y'all too. I think, so I think I get this a lot, and this is something that I struggle with in the company. So when we come up with some of these topics, and I'll be able to do a lot of research on it, but I look at like Paul Brown and Inspire Brands and how they grew from, all these brands and how they're managing so many brands at one time, and how we're trying to manage our brands at so many times and we use this word before, and it's been up in a topic before, is scaling. How do you scale your business, and how can you get better at scaling it and growing it but running it efficiently? I mean, it's great to add all these awesome brands: Buffalo Wild Wings Go, Arby's, Starbucks, Buffalo's, Mellow. We have Rusty Taco, and other brands are kind of coming at us too a little bit. But how do we continue to control to be profitable and good stewards and make good deals and things? So I have that topic that I really want to spend, because I love to get Kim's insight on this. I get your insight on this. I'd love us to get around a table and have that conversation too. So, yeah. Kimberly, what you got?
So what was the question?
Yeah, if you had a topic that you would want to talk about as a group in front of these cameras, what would it be next season?
I think how to overturn a non-performing store, how to make a non-performing store into a successful operations. I think that we have some definite history on that. I think that we have some great ideas as 3 business leaders on very different ideas, but ideas on how to turn around a non-profiting store. And I think that would kind of generate with people, especially in today's world where we see a lot that are underperforming and having to close their doors. So, I think that would maybe resonate with somebody out there and give an opportunity for us to share our ideas.
Like what's happening when you're considering closing your doors, because not everything is a success story. And our company's blessed with a ton of really good, high performing stores, but we've got a couple that we're working real hard on. That takes a ton of resources, time, and effort. And that'd be a great topic.
That is a great topic. I love that.
And I think that we have one right now that we're kind of all honing in on. And so for us, we just need to make some really good notes and see how we come in episode 3.
Talk through that. Yeah.
We've had some that we've built back up, and we've had some that are tripping right now and that we're working hard on, and some that have already kind of started improving really well on too. So that's a great topic, because right now, especially Kim and Justin, with the struggles in the world today, restaurants are closing, businesses are closing, and sometimes people don't have the assets. It's not just always the assets either. It's the skill to get in there and figure it out, and it's gotta get in there and do it. Unfortunately, there's some businesses out there closed. We got contacted about some recently that it was probably a little too late for us to get involved in it. But I wish I'd have known earlier, because I think we could have probably done something different with them.
Some consulting services, maybe.
Yeah, but sometimes when when the boat's third the way through or halfway full of water, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah.
It's going in. So great.
That would be a great
idea.
topic too in the scaling convo. Because
Yeah.
I'll be sitting here saying, "Don't do it." Love to help. Love
Yeah.
to consult. That's the angle. But we don't need 3 more brands or 2 more brands.
Yeah.
So
It's tough.
scaling, bottom performers, leadership coming at you, plus some construction stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, we want to
yeah.
bring you along the
Yes.
ride for Buffalo Go. So
Go.
look
Yeah.
forward
Yeah.
to that.
That's going to be
The
fun.
whole ride we're bringing.
Yeah, we're
you.
gonna start
Yeah.
those. That'll be season 3, really
Yep.
starting out. It'll probably be our first shot there at our store, hopefully, or maybe second
Hard
or third.
hats.
Depends on when they get construction contracts
Maybe.
are done. So, yeah. Well, hey, thank you guys. I know it's a busy day today. Got a lot to go on. Thank you. I appreciate your time. And hey, thank you guys again for watching. Please go subscribe and follow us and share us, please.
Yeah.
Thank you
for all the
guys.
support.